Warrior Supercast on Waycross Community Media. This is the podcast for the Winton Woods City School District. And on this podcast, we highlight the superstars in the district. And today, our studio is full of superstars from the district because today we have a whole bunch of the Winton Woods football team. And we have the coach, a couple of the coaches here, head coach, and one of the other coaches here. And the reason we are talking to you because you just did something really exciting and really historic for the district. You are the new Division II state champions. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to the studio to talk to us, because this is our chance to make sure that the rest of the district knows about these superstars that are in the district. So let me start by introducing everyone. I'm going to start with the coaches. We have head coach Chad Murphy. We have defensive coordinator Carlton Gray. And I'm going to have you introduce the players that you brought with you today. You brought a lot of the seniors with you today, right?
Yes. That's our defensive captain, one of our defensive captains, 7 Blue. Caden Sanders, Tyreek Spikes, Andrew Thompson, and Will Edwards. All 5 of these kids are senior captains.
Fantastic. So can I just ask you what positions you play? Because Waycross, of course, we're out there covering as many of your games as we can, which means our viewers have seen you on the field. And let's help match them up to where they would find you in the programs.
I play outside linebacker. I'm number 6.
Okay.
Play wide receiver, number 3.
Running back, number 22.
Offensive line, 74, the one with the stomach out.
I'm offensive line, number 62.
And I could keep going, but we have coaches. This is a really exciting year, and I would say this kind of started last spring, because last spring there were changes in the program. One of the things that happened last spring was that Coach Murphy, you were promoted to head coach.
Yep.
When you were promoted to head coach, did you have a vision of we're going to do a lot of things differently and see how that changes the team next year, or what did you have in mind?
Well, it's always been a great place. Football's always meant a lot here in Winton Woods, even since it was Forest Park and Green Hills. I mean, it's always been a big deal here. I think that's probably one of the worst things I could have done was to come in and think I needed to change a bunch of things. We had a lot of really good football players returning, obviously putting together a staff, and obviously Coach Gray being one of the first calls that I made. Getting a good staff together was next. But it's been a great place, and just trying to see what we could do to keep it that way and even take it up a notch if we could.
And you've been part of the football program at Winton Woods. If there are parents listening to this program that maybe aren't following the football, which I guess they should be, I mean, clearly, right? That's the first thing that I think anyone watching should take away from this is follow the football team. This was just a heads up for you. But you've been part of the football program at Winton Woods for a while, and you're part of the staff at Winton Woods. You're an intervention specialist. You're part of this team and the community and what's the district's family working with the students on a regular basis. Yeah,
I came in last year as an assistant, just primarily responsible for quarterbacks, helping out with the offense as much as possible, but and an intervention specialist last year as well. So year 2, first year as a head coach.
Did that knowledge from last year help you stepping up into head coach?
Definitely. I think first and foremost, building relationships with a lot of these guys sitting here and with the team was very important. Also seeing, the culture and seeing from within, things that we could improve on and things like that. So I think it was definitely a benefit, no doubt. Now, talking about new staff, and you're talking about building your staff. So let's introduce now you, Coach Gray. You came to the team this year as a new coach, defensive coordinator, but you're not new to Forest Park. Talk about your history in Forest Park.
I graduated from Forest Park High School in 1989 and went to play college football out of UCLA. So I've been back in the area since about 2000, but I was coaching at another school. And few times was asked to come back. Timing was never right. And fortunately, things happened this past year that finally led me to say, let me go ahead and take a jump and go back home, so to speak. You know, I'm still kind of getting used to the whole Forest Park plus Green Hills thing, but I guess we are one now, and I got to accept that and claim Green Hills as part of my home. So I'm glad to be back. It's great that we were able to win like this, but there's so many more things that I think that we can do in the district and with these kids that are much more beneficial than just the football. And for that alone, it's worth it for me.
I think that's a really important part. Well, actually, anytime you see someone coming home to the district, in your case, it's a really unique coming home because Winton Woods, like you said, it didn't exist yet when he graduated. When your coach graduated, Forest Park and Winton Woods were separate. Forest Park and Green Hills were separate schools. So now you have to claim them. But it says a lot about a community when someone wants to come home to it. There's people that grow up in a community and say, can't wait to go somewhere. And then for someone to be somewhere else saying, can't wait to get back, says a lot of great things about the community. It says some great stuff about the school districts. So, and you're bringing college football experience and NFL football experience back to your hometown high school.
Just a little bit. You know, I try to teach the kids a lot of stuff about the game, and it's not just the kids on my side of the ball. I'm very passionate about the sport because there's so many life lessons that football and team sports give to these kids. And there's so many things that on a day-to-day basis that they go through that you have to make sure they understand what they're dealing with within the sport, but how it affects them later on as they make decisions and as they mature in their own lives.
Yeah, that's important to talk about because we can talk about each exciting football moment, which we definitely still want to do. But the football team is part of how you're growing up as a student and how you're growing into an adult and all of the different athletic programs. We kind of look at the athletic programs sometimes as, well, it's not the main thing. And Winton Woods has some really great academics, but what the athletics brings to a student to help them mature, grow up, be mentored by coaches, that's huge. That's what it's about. That's why there's a program. Yes, we're very excited that you are state champions, but the state champion part is not the most important part. It's also, though, the most exciting part right now. So let's talk more about how your seasons were. Last year was a really strange year for sports, for all sports, for high school sports, because you couldn't practice, and then you could practice if you had a mask on, and then you had to practice in groups and things like that. Do you think that affected your going into this year, your readiness for the year?
Well, I mean, it was tough. I think last year we played 6 regular season games, I believe, you know, and then got into the playoffs. And I know going into week 1 in 2020, I think we had 3 different opponents before we played our first game. You know, we were supposed to play somebody their conference couldn't play, out of conference schools. We scheduled another one, and then that one ended up getting canceled because of COVID. So we ended up playing, you know, preparing for 3 opponents, 2 within a week. And obviously, it ran into the summer, into the spring, and a little bit of the summer this year. You know, it was a big scare, but, you know, I think it meant enough to these guys to take the precautions to take care of each other and take care of their teammates. And we were blessed to, you know, thankfully not be shut down and be able to have a pretty good off season.
Well, let me ask you guys, was there anything in your mind as you started your season that you were thinking this is going to be a different kind of year? What were you thinking when you started the season?
For me, it was really optimism. I had a lot of things to prove to myself and to the people around me to show like who I really was. And on top of the things that I've done before me, I always wanted to leave my own legacy and do something for the community that's never been done before. And, you know, it was on top of having a new staff, it was also a new way for you to understand the way of thinking, because there was a lot of different ideas, a lot of things going on, a lot of he say, she say. You just have to focus on the things you wanted to do and focus on things that motivated you and made you who you were.
How about anybody else?
For me, being a 3-year starter, I know what my objective was coming into my senior year. We had to get it done. It was really tough the way we lost last year, so I know we had to turn it up a notch if we wanted to bring one home and make history.
Yeah, so you came in not only out of a different kind of year of not even knowing who your opponent was going to be and not knowing when you were going to have a game, and it's hard to build a record that way too. And but also this is your last year at Winton Woods. Anybody else come in with any kind of ideas in their head about the season?
I knew it was gonna be extra long because we only had 6 games last year, so I knew it was gonna be a long season. I knew like we had the talent, like younger guys was coming out, they started to listen more, started to progress, and as seniors we started to progress. We started having a bigger bond, having more leadership on the team, and we knew that we had to finish for the guys last year because that loss of LaSalle, it really hurt a lot of us. Yeah.
Now, all of you watched your head coach change, and then you watched Coach Gray come in as a completely new coach to your team. What was that like, coming in and looking at some different faces on staff?
Well, for me, it was just like, we here now, ain't no turning back. We can't change what happened already. So we gotta just get through this and make the best of it.
Definitely was more to prove for yourself and the people around you. Never, what you had before, people watched and seen, and they wanted to see this. Now it's a whole new group of people. It was kind of like your first time having a show. You just have to make sure everything was in order, same piece and cube.
Yeah, because more people watch the higher you get, the closer you get to the championship, right? More people are watching and keeping an eye on you. When was the last time Winton Woods was playing for the state championship?
2009.
2009, yeah, a while ago.
That
Is that right?
Last time we won was
That's the last time you won, was 2009. And the last time you were playing was 2017, yeah. And you know that when you get to that point, there's more eyes on you and how you're playing and who your coaches are and how that transition went. This was the first year with this particular staff. How did that feel like for you as a head coach to feel like that's what you put together?
Well, I mean, it'd be hard to beat it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's obviously that any coach out there obviously gets in it to help change and mold young men into great people. But to win a state championship in the first year, it's unbelievable. But you know, I've been able to sit with enough college coaches in the last week, you know, and being able to quote unquote show these guys off to these college coaches and to think about the staff that we have. You know, it's not hard to understand why or how. We've got some phenomenal kids. Like Coach Gray said, this is my 21st year, and I've been all over the country, from Florida to coaching a little bit of college out in Missouri and 5, 6, 7 schools in the Cincinnati area, and it's a special place. But it's a special place because of young men like this and people that from here, from this area, obviously Forest Park, Green Hills. When you really think about it, you know, it's you understand why. I mean, it's been great.
And Coach Gray, I know you were talking about, of course, you've come from Lakota and you have coached all over. Coming back to Forest Park, what do you see as a difference? When you grow up playing for a high school, that's all you ever see. So you figure, well, I guess this is what you get as a football team at a high school. You've had the chance to look around and see what other high schools have. What do you see when you come back to Forest Park?
Well, when I went to Forest Park, that's all I knew. And when I left from Forest Park and went to UCLA, obviously you're spoiled as a college athlete. Even back then in the old days, you know, you had a lot of stuff. You had access to everything that you needed to develop as a player and as a person, and those things were just there. Obviously, everybody knows about the type of money that's involved in college athletics. Then when I came back home and I was living out in the Westchester area, I was asked to coach at Lakota West, and because my daughters were out there going to school, I stepped in and coached. And you just take for granted that the kind of money involved in that district. I know it's a very big district, but there are people in the community and there are businesses in that community that put a lot of money into that school, and specifically in the band and the athletic department and a lot of extracurricular activities that those kids just take for granted. It's not their fault that they're blessed to have so much, but I think that's the biggest difference is when you see just the resources that some of those high school programs have, whether it's because of certain hospitals or doctors that get behind their programs or whatever the case may be. There's just, certain things that make life a little bit easier. But the one thing that I've always said when I was coaching away is that if I could ever get these kids over here at Winton Woods, I would love to see what would happen if I could teach them the way that I feel like they can play football with the talent, the hunger, and the passion that they have naturally. You're never gonna want for talented kids in this school district, especially on the football team. So I was just hoping that one day I ever had a chance that I would ever get a chance to put that together, and luckily it happened this year. But it's kind of gift and a curse, because if you win it your first year, now everybody's going to think we're supposed to win it every year, and it's not easy at all. You might win it your first year and you might never win it again. So we have to enjoy this moment, take it for what it's worth, but if you're going to keep coaching, you're almost starting from scratch, because what you did last year has no impact whatsoever on what's got to happen the next year.
Sure, and your team changes every year.
Yes.
As players, listening to that, I'm hearing that he was at a district where they gave him all the shiny things, and he picked you over the shiny things. That's, you have a coach that intentionally said, I need to go to Winton Woods because shiny things are fine, but I want to work with those players. And you definitely made it worth it this semester. We've talked about colleges, so let's talk about, and talking to colleges all week, so let's find out who's looking at colleges. Who's going to play football in college? All of you. When you get to a certain point, everybody's watching and supporting, but the key is everybody supporting the team all the time? And you've been in districts where people were financially and also just as far as school spirit goes, supporting the team all the time. And so that is something that we can say to the district now. We don't know what next year's team's going to look like, not until you start your practices with the whole new group. But we do know we can start supporting them now.
Right.
And businesses can support them, and families can come out, and the crowd can come out and cheer for them, and make sure they get the kind of support you were seeing other places and the kind of support that you saw at the end. Did you see that kind of support at the beginning?
The support at the beginning, it was pretty rough. A lot of people were saying this wasn't going to be our year. We won't be as good as the teams before us.
Really?
As soon as we started winning, everybody started hopping on the bandwagon, saying they hope we make it, hope we get a ring, hope we bring it back to the city.
Tell me about, Coach, why don't you let me know if there's a special moment in the season where you felt like that was the best moment. I can't believe that I got to experience that.
Well, I think just overall, being able to rebound from, starting off 1-2, 4-3 once upon a time. But I think probably one of the biggest victories was the regional championship, beating LaSalle. And they had beat us the first go round. What was it, week 3, week two. And then be able to come back in the regional final and beat them and played a really good game. That was probably the biggest victory up to that point. But I think that overall, just the belief that these guys showed, from staff. I mean, we put together almost 20 grown men together in one room, and I think we came a long way as a staff. I think these guys, especially this group here and the rest of their seniors, really did a phenomenal job of leadership, because that was a question, at the beginning of the year, the leadership. From the top down. That's a new coach, a new DC, new offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and obviously the senior class. Those are the coaches on the field. But it's a hats off to all the above, but first and foremost these guys. I mean, these are the guys that make it go, and it's hard to beat a state championship.
Is there a specific moment in the season for any of you or for each of you? Could be a game, could be a play, could be something that happened at practice that will be the thing that lives in your memory as the best part of the season?
Well, for me, it was even before the season started, because me and Seven, we were in the interviews, and Murph was actually our choice to be our head coach. So it was like, when we heard he got the job, it was like, let's go get this trophy.
You had a hand in being the people who picked this coach. That's great. That's ownership. That means it's your team. That means it's not just other people picking, okay, here, we'll pick some people for you. Here's your team. You were part of that process. That's fantastic. Anybody else?
For me, it wasn't really anything particular. Just seeing the support system from the beginning to how many people we had going into the state game, it was wowing.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely, there's a lot of special moments, but one of the most special, like Tyree said, was definitely when Murph got the job, because it was like, you know, I was lost at a point in time. I didn't know really what was going on. And every night I can't even lie, I was praying Coach Murph got the job. It was the one person I wanted to see help us succeed. It was just, I knew like when he was there and when he got his opportunity, I knew what he was going to do, because everybody was on his side from the start. Nobody wanted to see him fail. Nobody wanted to see anybody else in that situation besides us.
That's fantastic. How does it feel to hear that your whole team wanted? I talked about you picking them, but also they picked you.
Yeah, I might need some tissues on this one. I'm like Dick Vermeil. They make fun of an old NFL coach. He cries all the time. I'm one of them. But that means the world, because, I mean, this is why I do it. I mean, it's not for, it's not for anything else. You know what I mean? We all could be doing a lot of other things and making money doing something else, but I mean, this is why I do it. And to be at a place like this and the type of guys and that's just part of the story that just makes it hard to beat. You know what I mean? Hard to beat. So it means the world.
I'll tell you, we could talk about specific plays, and I'm sure you've got lists, but these are the moments. This is, again, it's the bigger picture. It's the details of the sport, but really it's the makeup of the team and supporting each other and support from the outside, but really supporting each other within the team. And I'm getting to see that from the outside here, and I'm loving that. So are there any other amazing moments or plays or just things? Yes.
So at the beginning of the season, my dad had passed. Yeah, he had passed from cancer. And all the guys, they came to my dad's funeral. And it was like my mom needed that because he was going through a lot at the time. So yeah, I knew we were unstoppable then. But what reassured that was Turpin game. We had went out and just played and demolished them. And I knew it was, from there we were steamrolling. It was over. Nobody could stop us.
Yeah, that Turpin game. Yeah. Anybody else? Have one.
I think it's a good feeling to me is when we all on the field, we all in sync. Like, I make a good block, then I watch my brother run up the sideline. That's just the best feeling, just watching him score. Just run up the sideline, straight up the hash.
One of the best feelings on top of that was, on top of seeing him score and seeing people fall down, and sometimes seeing them cry after the game was probably one of the best feelings I ever get. It's kind of funny to me. But another one of the best feelings was definitely our pregame warm up. It was always like the music. I can't tell you, I would get chills every time. Like Seven, he would lead us in it, with him yelling, him saying, "Let's go." My eyes would get big. I just feel like a monster. It just go crazy.
All right, Seven, you lead a good pregame warm-up then. That's good to know. That's good. All right, now we know. All right, is there anything else that you think the district needs to know about this season?
Got some great kids, and they know that. I mean, Coach Gray said it, I've said it, I've been around. You know, I've seen, we've got great kids. That's a fact. You know, it's different. You know, we've used hashtag different, and a lot of people do, but it's a fact here.
And I'm going to mention, obviously, the district, inside the district, everybody's been watching this and following this. But the greater community, outside the district, you have a busy schedule in the next couple of weeks, right? Because you're getting recognized. What are some of the other places that you'll be heading to get recognized for this?
Well, Thursday, we'll be taking a charter bus up to the state capitol and being recognized up there. Saturday morning, we'll be part of the holiday parade here in the area. And Sunday, we'll be heading down to Paul Brown Stadium to the Bengals game to get recognized there.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to that? Yeah, that's the place to be and have talk, and that's the greater community that is going to see that Winton Woods football team shines. And like you said, folks said at the beginning that this wasn't going to be a year. And
Wasn't going to be the year.
there's no hiding it now. This was definitely a year.
Yeah. We're missing 2 captains, but I can also tell you that there's not below a 3.0 sitting up here, cumulative, since they've started at Winton Woods High School. You know, so every one of these guys are 3.0 or above. Yeah. So I think that's pretty important as well.
That is important, and actually, that was a question I didn't get a chance to ask. Is that how does this balance with your school and becoming part of it? Do you feel like being part of the team motivates you to take your school more seriously?
For sure.
Yeah, it does, for sure.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like,
if you bring some bad, Coach Murphy ain't gonna mess with you. But yeah, I feel like as a team, like going through school, it makes it easier. Like you got brothers like beside you, they in the same class. You need help with something, they got you. You won't like miss out on anything, honestly.
Definitely that.
Definitely.
Even like start of the season, or like starters who are, you know, a lot of people don't know who you are yet. They're trying to figure out. And one of the things I'm known for is always having my stomach out in the game. And it, like, start of the year, everybody would be like, oh, you know, who's that? And then it seems like every other week it was people that were coming out to help me. And like if I'm struggling, it's like kids I've never even met before, like asking, are you here? Oh, you're the one guy. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'll help you with this. I'll help you with that. Like, it was just like, I was a smart kid, and it was even kids that were smarter than me, not as smart as me, whatever they were. They was just looking any way to reach out and help. It was kind of crazy.
You knew you were part of that community. Nice. I like that. Thank you for sharing all this. I'm going to take that moment to remind anybody watching that if they need to know anything that's happening in the district, including information about your team, all the other teams, the basketball teams, everything else going on, academics, that the website is www.wintonwoods.org, and so that folks can go there. I always like to make sure that we remind that. Let's see if we can end with a cheer. Can we end with your cheer? Thanks for watching this edition of the Winton Woods Warrior Supercast. We got to highlight some of the superstars on the Winton Woods football team. If you would like more information about the school district, anything in the school district, make sure you go to their website, www.wintonwoods.org.
For the new tech.